Hello? Okay, I just dropped Alex off at the bus stop. And we literally got yelled. We got yelled at. This guy, I thought he was gonna have a heart attack. He was screaming at me so hard because I went in the wrong entrance. There's like two entrances and they're right next to each other, and one is for the buses and the other one is like to drop people off. And I went in the wrong one, and the guy's like, "You can't go in this fucking I'm like, I was like, Alex, can you tell him I went in the wrong entrance? So Alex tells me, he's like, tell him he has to get out of here now. I'm like, okay. I'm like turning my car around, like with Alex and the door open as this guy's like screaming and yelling at me. I'm like, I'm doing the best I can. Oh my Lord. I'm gonna go down Meridian. Is this Madison or is this Meridian? A Slippery Noodle, Meridian. So this bar right here, the Slippery Noodle, is like a legendary bar. Dave Matthews has played here. John Mellencamp has played here. And they supposedly have a ghost in their basement too. It's like been around here forever. We used to go there back in the day. It has been a long day today. And I'm like still half asleep. Alex and I watched TV tonight when he got home about 6:30, and so from like 6:30 to 7:30 we were watching TV. We watched Watch What Happens Now with Andy Cohen, and then he was watching the Mod Squad and I was watching it with him. And if you guys have never been to downtown Indianapolis, here I just want to show you really quick. Some downtown Indianapolis. So there's the you can see it down there. There's the Monument Circle. There's the Hard Rock Cafe. And this is the Conrad Hotel, I think, right here. And that's the old Nordstrom. And that's what it looks down like on the other strip going the other way. And that's where all the bars and stuff are down there. So, when I get to the Circle, I'll show you guys the Circle, because the Circle is kind of what Indianapolis is known for. But I ate dinner, I made a bagel sandwich, and I was so tired. I just didn't sleep very well last night at all, and I had a bunch of stuff I had to get done today, and so when Alex got home, I said, you know, I said, what time do we need to leave to get you at the bus station on time? He was like, well, I need to leave at like 9 o'clock, and I was like, okay, and, or he said I need to leave at like 9:15 at the latest, and I said, okay. Here, I'm going to show you this while we're driving around the Circle because it's really, really cool. Hold on a second. I mean, it's not the coolest thing in the entire world, but it's pretty cool. So this is Monument Circle right here. Oh, actually, I think there's the Conrad Hotel up there. But here's Monument Circle. People do these horse things. Why is it not focusing? Oh, shit. Okay, I literally had to turn the camera off and turn it back on. Here's Monument Circle. This is, so they put this every year at Christmas. This is what this Indianapolis Circle looks like. They put huge lights on it and they call it like the world's biggest Christmas tree when it's not even a Christmas tree. And these horse-drawn carriages. There's a brick around here, see? And people just like walk around the Circle. When I was in high school, we used to just like hang around here. You see they have a big fountain over there. Yep, and that's what it looks like in downtown Indianapolis. And this is Christ Church Cathedral on the Circle, this church. Alex's stepbrother, his funeral was there. So anyway, and then there's huge parks over here and monuments when we get past all this. And that is where like they do like the Earth Day, Pride Day, stuff like that. I'd show you, but I don't want to hold on to this camera forever. If you can see up here on my right, hold on a second. There's like a big park up here. Do you see that? So that's where they have like, over here, that's where they have like the beginning of Pride Day and Earth Day and stuff like that. So anyway, I don't know what I did when I touched the camera. I was like adjusting it with my finger, so it like went all blurry. I apologize before. So I told Alex, I said, I've got to lay down for an hour. Like, I'm so tired. And he said, okay. So I laid down, and like at 7:30ish, something like that, 8 o'clock. I don't know what time it was, honestly. I think it was a little before or a little after 8. Well, like, our TV carries upstairs. It's so loud that, I mean, I literally could hear every word of the TV show that he was watching, and he had it on like 5 volume. He had it so low. So I was like, babe, do you still have those earplugs? Because he just wore earplugs to Cascade when we went and saw him. And he's like, or in Vegas. And he was like, no, I don't have those, but I have the earplugs for when we went to Ultra last. And he was telling me where they were, so I went and got them, and I put these earplugs in. Now, I have never worn earplugs, like, to fall asleep before, and I was out. Like, I mean, literally within 5 minutes, I was out. I crashed out. And the next thing I knew, Alex was like yelling upstairs. He's like, babe, it's time to go. We need to go. And I like looked at my clock. I mean, if you had asked me how long I had been asleep, I would have told you 10 hours. I mean, I was absolutely just out, completely out, exhausted. And I was like, okay. So I got ready really quick and got in the car, and then we had to stop at the gas station to get him some, he wanted to get some Mountain Dew, or not Mountain Dew, so he doesn't drink Mountain Dew. He wanted to get some Gatorades, those blue Gatorades that he loves. So he got that, and he went to a doctor this weekend about his back, and they said that he has a hernia or herniated disc, I'm not sure. Well, whichever one would make more sense. So they started him on this medication for it. Well, 2 medications, I think. One medication to, like, help with the issue, and another, like, I don't know, low grade, like, anti-inflammatory kind of thing. He was hurting so bad in the car tonight. I was like, Alex, how are you honestly going to sit in a bus for 5 hours? And he was like, I don't know. He was like, but I mean, I have to. I don't have any. I said, Alex, I said, you're telling me that you can, because he was like sitting here moving like this the whole time that we were coming downtown. And I said, do you really think that you can make it in a bus for 5 hours? Like, once you get on, you can't get off, you know? He was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to deal with it. I was like, okay. Whenever I come downtown, it's like I always forget, like, that I used to come down here all the time, and so I would always go out downtown. And I haven't been downtown in a really long time. It's been a while. And now I'm gonna go home, and it is the beginning of PP and P Eater's partial bachelor weekend. It's PP and P Eater's partial bachelor weekend. Don't worry about us, cause we'll be just fine. Boo Radley and Tucker too. And I love when people tell me that they sing that song with me. And I'm gonna take it. When I go home, I'm probably gonna go back to bed for another hour, because I'm like still like exhausted, half asleep, still waking up. Do you ever feel that way? So I'm probably gonna sleep for another hour. I already talked to my friend Valerie. I'm gonna meet her at the casino at midnight, and we're really excited because we haven't seen each other in a while, and I haven't seen her since I went to Vegas. So we're gonna catch up, and then I have no plans for tomorrow whatsoever. Oh, that's not true. I'm supposed to have coffee with a friend at 1, like at 1 o'clock, I think. I have it written down at home. 1 or 2. It's at this little coffee shop, kind of close to my house, so I could just get up late and throw on a hat. And Tanya went to breakfast this morning with a friend of ours at like 9:30. I said, what time are you going to breakfast? And she said 9:30. And Tanya's like, if she goes to like breakfast in the morning, like, you know, get up, take a shower, do her hair. I said, what time? I mean, and this was like one of her days off, because she usually, like, if she works one morning, she'll work the next afternoon, back and forth. And I said, well, my God, I said, this is like your one morning to not have to get up at like 6 o'clock and be at the kennel. And she's like, I know, but I really can't sleep anyway. I thought, oh my God, I can sleep in all day long. So she got up this morning. people know not to really ask me for breakfast at 9:30 in the morning. I don't really get a lot of people asking me like, hey, do you want to go to breakfast this morning at 9:30? Because I would say I would love to go to breakfast with you at 9:30. The chances of me being up and being ready to go to breakfast at 9:30 is probably not great. I know people don't understand that, but like, it's just a different way to live your life, you know? Like, when I first used to stay up late and do stuff, like, oh my God, people would pass so much judgment on me. And it's like, they'd be like, really? So you stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning? Oh my God, I'm in bed by like 9 o'clock at night. I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, okay, well, I think that's insane. So why is that any different than what I do? Well, I mean, like, don't you feel like you don't ever get anything accomplished? I'm like, I get a lot accomplished, just at a different time than you do. You know what I mean? Like, now people just kind of know it's who I am. They're like, oh, he's a night owl. Yeah, I am. But I always kind of have been a night owl too, you know? I remember when I got sober and I couldn't sleep in treatment at first. Well, the first couple days I was like detoxing, I was completely out. I don't even remember those first couple days, some of them. And I remember meeting with the doctor, and he was like, so are you doing okay? I said, I'm having a hard time sleeping. Like, I cannot fall asleep and stay asleep. And he was like, yeah, you've really upset your biological clock as far as like sleep schedule. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, have you been using before you go to bed? And I said, yeah, like I always drink, you know, and smoke weed before I go to bed. I didn't say smoke weed because we didn't say that. I said smoke pot before I went to bed. And he was like, well, how many nights a week are you drinking before you go to bed? Or drinking to the point where you like either pass out or black out? And I said, I mean, every night. And he was like, how long have you been doing that for? And I said, I mean, at this point it was years. It was like 5 years, you know? And I said, I don't know, 4 or 5 years it's been every night. And he said, the reality is, he said, you've kind of set your inner clock inside of you. And he said, you'll probably for the rest of your life have a difficulty falling asleep like at night, you know? And you'll need to use like relaxation techniques and stuff. When I got sober, we didn't talk about maintenance drugs. We didn't talk about drugs to help you fall asleep. When I got, and hey, you do you. Like, that's my thing in recovery. Like, if what works for you, and you have no problem doing it, it's not mine to pass judgment on. But, like, when I got sober, I mean, it was like, there was none of this other stuff. And so, like, they weren't going to put me on trazodone or something to help me fall asleep. I'm right next to the beautiful White River in Indianapolis, which absolutely stinks like a sewer, and you can just smell it all through my car. And I was telling Tanya this the other day. It was funny because when I was working in treatment, like, she and I were talking about it because she was like, because, you know, Tanya, I don't know how much she shared about this on here, but I don't think, yeah, I think she shared it before that Tanya back in the day she abused Ativan. And so, like, when she was coming off of it, it was like her skin was crawling. Like, she could not sleep at night. And she would go up to the nurse's station and she'd say, I have to have something. And I'm laughing because, like, they would offer you sleepy time tea. Well, I was telling her, I said, oh my God, we did the same thing to the patients when I was working there. And she was like, there is no cup of sleepy time tea that will put your ass to sleep and when you're in that state. And, but like, the doctors and the nurses even had to like sign the patients to have like sleepy time tea that you buy over the counter in the grocery store. And I was telling her that it's like interesting, like in retrospect, that, you know, we had so many people that were just like begging for the sleepy time tea. I don't know, they probably thought it was some kind of drug in retrospect, but it wasn't. And see, all that stuff does the opposite effect on me, probably because, you know, my ADHD. So when I drink like sleepy time tea, it just, like, it wakes me up before you go. But it doesn't like help me fall asleep. It just makes me like, and coffee makes me tired sometimes. Like, I can drink a cup of coffee and fall asleep. It is muggy as all get out in Indianapolis. 75 degrees. It hasn't been too hot today either, but it's rained. Oh my God, we had thunderstorms like nobody's business earlier today. And so I got up today. I had my hair appointment. I went and got my hair cut. Thank you. And what did I do after that? Oh, I went and got my oil changed in my car. And I was gonna stop by Tanya's kennel, but she wasn't there yet. I called her and she wasn't there yet. And so then I went to, what did I do after that? Well, okay. I got my hair cut at 11:15, oil change right after that, and what did I do? I don't remember, honestly. I could see that it was gonna like downpour. It just like looked like downpour. It just looked like downpour. It looked like this huge thunderstorm was coming our way. The skies were like really, really dark. So I went to a party last Saturday night. I went to, can you see? I'm like half asleep. I went home and I let the dogs out because who let the dogs out? This is becoming a musical. I did not want to have to take the dogs out in the pouring rain because Tucker won't go outside and they hadn't been out in a couple hours, so I wanted to make sure that they got outside before the thunderstorm. Okay, so this is what is so interesting. I got the dogs outside and then I brought them in, and literally within like 2 minutes of bringing them inside, it was downpour. And I mean to tell you, it was like downpour. Like you couldn't even see through it. And yeah, so that was that. And then I just kind of hung around the house today, talked to some people on the phone. I read a lot today, actually. I just kind of hung out on the couch and read. Oh my God, I forgot to tell you. Some of you already know and have probably finished it, but Wentworth is back. Wentworth, the prison show out of Australia. It is so good this season. I don't know what it is about Wentworth this season and Orange is the New Black. Like, Orange is the New Black was fantastic. This was such a great season for Orange is the New Black. And Wentworth is back, and it's like back, just like, and it is back, like right away. And somebody was asking me the other day, like, who my favorite character is on Orange is the New Black, or I mean on Wentworth. I mean, B. Smith was always my favorite character on Wentworth, but I have to say now, Boomer is probably my favorite character next to B. Smith. I really like Boomer. And, but it's interesting that Orange is the New Black and Wentworth both started these seasons introducing new characters, which I think is really, really interesting. So, I don't know, I'm only I'm like an episode and a half into Wentworth, and that's all I've watched. So other than that, I don't know. We'll have to see how good it gets, you know what I mean? My husband texted me. I don't know if something happened, so I need to pull in here and stop and see what he's saying to me. Hosting the Colts tailgate, deserve a crown. He's like, I'm really hurting. What did I get myself into? You know, I think that one of the things that scares me about Alex and this back stuff is, like, if Alex needed to have back surgery, I mean, he would have it, and I mean, we have insurance, and whatever insurance didn't cover, I guess we'd figure out. But at the same time, it's like, I have known so many friends of mine that were sober and then ended up, you know, getting put on pain meds for their back problems, or they would have severe back issues, back surgeries year after year, just debilitating back pain. You know, there was like nothing like back pain. I know that. And I can't remember, it would have been before I started any of my channels that I had some real back pain issues. And it's like the worst kind of pain in the entire world, but I never had anything like him. But I had a really, really good friend of mine that had severe back problems, and she was abusing her meds. Even though she was in sobriety, she was like doled out so much. And this is why some of this shit's very tricky in sobriety, you know, that people will, you know, like what's recommended in sobriety is like, let's say if I had to go, like my sponsor wouldn't necessarily tell me I couldn't, like if I had to get my wisdom teeth taken out, that I couldn't take pain meds. Like she wouldn't say that, right? They recommend that you don't. They recommend that you do whatever you can do to not take pain medication. And everybody that I've always been revolved myself around are Puritans when it comes to, you know, pain management and things like that, that you take, you know, ibuprofen or Aleve or, you know, aspirin or something like that. I can't take aspirin because it interacts with my, my epilepsy medicine, so I can't take anything that has aspirin in it, but they've always recommended that, you know. And then if I would need to have pain medication, then like I would have Alex pick it up for me. And like, let's say if the pain medication said 1 every 8 hours, then he would give me 1 every 8 hours, and he would hold on to the medication. Then when I didn't need the medication anymore, he would get rid of it. He would dispose of it. And that's what they recommend in sobriety. So I had a friend of mine that did not do that, that had long-term sobriety and really serious back issues, like had back surgeries, and they didn't help. It was just really bad. And I mean, so bad that like if she was standing in front of you, you would feel horrible for her because it was just so debilitating. And so her doctor cut her off of pain meds. This kind of happened over a long period of time. And so she started smoking pot, and she didn't tell anybody because she didn't know what to do about the pain. And I don't believe that the pot necessarily led her back to drinking and using other drugs. I mean, we want to talk about pot as a gateway drug. I think any drug can be a gateway drug. I think her keeping secrets about it was what led her back to that stuff, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know that I necessarily think she started smoking pot and was like, okay, well, I'm back to the races, I might as well use what I want to use. That may be, I don't know, I can't speak for her. But I think really what happened was, you know, that the addiction kicked in and everything else. I don't know. Like, I don't think it was specifically the pot. And, but she's back out there. She's back out there using really hardcore after years and years and years of sobriety, and it's very sad. And, you know, we live in a world today of pain management, and there are so many non-narcotic ways of pain management today. But I think, like, the thing that's so hard is that when you're, like, I mean, and friends of mine that I've talked to that have had, like, severely debilitating chronic pain, right? It's like, okay, well, you can go to occupational therapy or, you know, physical therapy for the next 6 weeks and hopefully it'll start feeling better, or I can give you this pill and you're gonna feel better in 10 minutes. You know, I mean, which one would you pick? I think that's a hard question, and I mean, thank God I haven't been in the position to have to make that decision yet, you know, but I don't know. I don't pass judgment on anybody that does that. I can't imagine going through that kind of pain. I get so many of you that reach out to me and say, talk about chronic pain issues. It's like, I feel for you. I just can't even imagine, you know? My stepmom suffers from a lot of chronic pain issues, and, you know, she's been tested for lupus numerous times. She's been diagnosed with fibromyalgia and some other things, and it's just sad. It's like, you know, and it's just really sad. Especially when you see people that are extremely active going from being very, very active to going to almost not being active at all anymore because it's so painful. So weird that, like, whenever I, like, start filming, I never know what I'm going to end up talking about. And, I mean, I would never have guessed I was going to talk about this tonight. But it's very sad. And I've actually, I mean, I could probably think of 20 people that I've known in recovery that have gone back out because of pain issues. And And not like that was their choice either. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, we all have the choice, but what I mean is, it didn't start off with like, I'm gonna go full into it anymore. The last time I was at the casino, I was telling Tanya this story. I was sitting next to this woman. She was so sweet. She reminded me of my grandma. And she was like, oh, I don't know, 75 probably. And we were sitting there talking to her, and she had like a walker with her. You know, a little roller set and stuff. And she was so sweet. My Lord, she was spending some money, my God. And I mean, I always just take like a limited amount of money, and when I'm done, I'm done. I just don't have that much money to deal with it, you know? And then other people are just like, my God, I'm like, how do you spend this much money in a casino? But whatever. So I was sitting next to her, and we were playing, and we were talking back and forth, you know, and I'd say, oh, good bonus, or she'd say, oh, you got the bonus, get big one, get big one. You know, we were talking and stuff like that. She was real sweet. She asked me where I was from, and I asked her where she was from. We were both from Indianapolis. We're about 5 minutes from each other. And she said, my back hurts so bad. She's like, I have back issues anyway, but when I sit in these chairs, she was like, my back really, really hurts. And I said, oh, I'm the same way. It's like, you know, when I go home after being at the casino, because those chairs are not, I mean, they're not uncomfortable, but they're not comfortable either. And you kind of sit very straight like this the whole time in it. She's like, whenever I go home, my back just hurts, like for the next couple days. And then out of the blue, she goes, sweetie, she goes, is there a soda machine over there? Reminded me of my grandma so much, okay? Yes, my grandma that went to jail, that one. And she goes, sweetie, is there a soda machine over there? And I said, yeah, there is. Do you want me to get you something? She goes, I'd like a mellow yellow on ice, please. Just like I was her waitress all of a sudden. I said, okay. So I went and I got her a mellow yellow on ice, and I brought it back. I was like, how did she even know that there's a mellow yellow back there? Mellow yellow. It's like somebody said squirt the other day, and I was like, oh my God, do they still make that stuff? Like my dad, if you go to his house, he always has Diet Coke and squirt. And I'm like, who the hell? Oh, it's gonna stop, hold on. Okay, I'm always like, Dad, like who the hell drinks squirt? Well, when we were in Las Vegas, Maya, Alex's cousin, she drinks this drink, okay? I don't know, it's like real famous in LA and Las Vegas. I don't know, maybe it's not real famous. Some of you out there, when I say it, will be like, what? Because we were talking to the waiter the next day that we became friends with, and he was like, Alex was like trying to figure out what it is. Okay, it looks like a Bloody Mary, but it has Tito's vodka in it, a beer, has like a whole beer, and then it has, oh shit, Clamato juice in it, and something else. But anyway, it looks disgusting. And, oh, and squirt. And this girl that was Maya's friend was like, well, sometimes you put squirt in it if you want. And I was like, you do? What for? And she was like, just, you know, kind of like have a little punch of like that, you know, taste in it. I said, okay. And I was like, my dad drinks that shit. I mean, you go over his house and he's so funny. It's like, Alex, do you want a beer, a squirt, or Diet Coke? I'm always like, I'll have a Diet Coke. I'm just always waiting for Alex to go, I'll have a squirt. Nobody ever wants it. I'm like, who the hell? My dad still goes to the grocery store and gets cases of squirt. Like, who drinks that shit? My dad. Right there. This street is so quiet. Can you hear me? Open both windows. Can you hear it? Look. Isn't that so pretty? I love just like the sounds of late summer and early fall. I'm really getting into the second book from Even White Trash Zombies Get the Blues. White Trash Zombie series? Is that what you would call it? I don't know. It's really good though. I'm kind of surprised they haven't made it into like a TV show or a movie. Somebody in the comment section said it reminded them, maybe it was on my BookTube channel, said it reminded them of iZombie. I mean, all of the TV shows are kind of, or all of the books and shows are similar kind of in some ways. And what's interesting is like a lot of the authors are friends with the people in the TV shows or the other authors and things like that. Like all the zombie authors are kind of like, I wouldn't say, like, I don't know, like I'm not like in their inner circle, but like Rhiannon Frater, who wrote the As the World Dies series, she does a podcast about iZombie, and she's real supportive of it. Like, there's not a whole lot of competition. And I really like that within any community where, and I know people are always like, that's why you're like the kumbaya, the, you know, like, you know, let's all be peaceful channel or whatever. But I like when there's communities that can get along and there doesn't have to be infighting, you know, that everybody can just like respect each other and be like, hey, it's great to see you, or, you know, like, let's just get along, let's not argue, let's not, you know what I mean? Like, I appreciate that. Kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya, oh Lord. They were just building that house and now it's done, and look, they're moved in and everything. I wonder if they're happy with their house. Do you ever wonder that kind of stuff? I was telling Alex tonight, I was driving him a little bit crazy. I said, hey Alex, guess what? He goes, what? And I go, chicken butt. He just looks at me, he thinks it's so dumb. And I go, okay, but no, I have to tell you something serious. And he's like, well, what is it? And I go, I love you. He goes, I love you too. And then I started walking away. This was right before I took my nap. And I started walking away and I came back and I said, hey, can you pause the show for a second? I gotta tell you something really serious. Of course, I'm doing this with a totally straight face, right? I can't do it right now because I already know what I'm gonna say. I was like, hey, can you like pause the TV show because I'm gonna tell you something serious. He's like, yeah, okay, what is it? And I go, well, I just wanted to remind you in case you had forgotten that it's Pee-Pee and Peter's Bachelor Weekend. He's like, you're so stupid. I go, I know. I don't care. Life's short. Be stupid. Be weird. It's fun. So that's the new rendition of it. It's Pee-Pee and Peter's Bachelor Weekend. It's Pee-Pee and Peter's Bachelor Weekend. Don't worry about us, cause we'll be just fine. Me and Boo Radley and Tucker too. Something like that. I always work them into it. Poor Tucker got a bang trim today. He went to the hair salon and got a bang trim. I took the scissors out because he couldn't see. His bangs were so long and they just flop in the wind. And I felt so bad for the little guy. And we're supposed to take them in next month for grooming. So I was like, screw it. I just took the scissors and just cut him around like this. He's so happy he can see. He's like, I put it on the floor. He's like, ah. He's like so excited. And I'm like, okay, that is so cute. That this small little thing, like cutting bangs around a dog's eyes so they can finally see, makes him so happy, right? I was like, you know what? It's like the small things in life. And so Alex comes upstairs and he was like, looking at him and he was like, I go, Tucker got a bang trim today. And he goes, I can see. And he goes, it's not a very straight bang trim, I would say. It's a little crooked. And I said, where is it crooked? And he's showing it to me and I go, oh. So I broke out the scissors. They're so good. Like, Boo and Tucker are so good about, like, cutting their, like, hairs around their face and stuff like that because I just don't think they like it like that. Well, Boo's always falls to the side. He's like that long hair Papatis that, like, if you look up pictures of them, you can find pictures of, like, Boo Radleys that literally have, like, little bows in their hair and they have real longly hair. Longly. I used to always add LYs to everything, like flower, or just a Y, like flowerty, longly, all that kind of stuff. Pritterly. Who says pritterly? But anyway, wouldn't it be lovely? Do you remember that from what's my fair lady? Lots of chocolates for him to eat. I used to love that song. I used to sit in our living room and I had this basket and it would have fake flowers that I had taken from my mom's flower arrangements, and I would just walk around and I would act like I was, what's her name? Shoot, why can't I think of her name? Breakfast at Tiffany's. Audrey Hepburn. I would act like I was Audrey Hepburn and, yeah, I didn't like musicals except for a few, but when I liked them, I really liked them. I sat there and I belted out Annie in my living, like, we had this library with closed doors. Thank God my mom would have gone crazy if we didn't have behind closed doors. And I would sit there, the sun'll come out tomorrow. You could not tell me I was not on Broadway, okay? Maybe far. I was like channeling my inner orphanage, you know? Like, I was like, it's a hard enough life for us. I was like so upset that I was not cast in that show, and I never even auditioned. But anyway, no, truly, like, I would do that. Like, and I was so serious about it. And then I would have to put on shows for my mom and, like, whatever friend she had over. I look back on that now. Like, my mom would have had a friend over, and I'd been like, can you watch my show? And I was probably, like, 7. And, like, here's my mom and her friend probably haven't had a couple gin and tonics. And my mom's friend seriously sitting there. I mean, they were, like, really good about this. Sitting there and being like, can you imagine being an adult that's 40 years old, watching somebody's 8-year-old son put on a performance of Audrey Hepburn and, I mean, it is so funny in retrospect. It really is. I haven't even really thought of it that way, you know? Just imagining myself in that white and black, you know, gown that she wears when she goes to the races. I so identified with Audrey Hepburn and, why can't even My Fair Lady? I just really did. Wanted to fit in. That's kind of really the theme of all of those shows. I did like Oklahoma too. O-K-L-A-H-O-M-A. Oklahoma. Okay. My mom and I, well, my mom's, she had a sorority sister, or like third good friend in the group. Her other sorority sister had 2 daughters. Well, Susie has 2 daughters too, but this is a different one. And they lived here in Indianapolis, and we were, like, she got divorced at the same time that my mom did. So we were always hanging out, all of us, okay? It was the 2 divorcees and the 3 kids. Well, the older daughter is like 3 years older than me, and the younger daughter is like 2 years younger than me, or a year younger than me. So before the older one went and lived with her dad, she like at the like I think it was like maybe sophomore year she went to go live with her dad, and so then it was just me and the other girl and our moms that would hang out together. I was like trying to think back on that. But anyway, she went to like the school here in town, and we went and saw her in Oklahoma. She was in the chorus, and I was so jealous. I was like, oh my God, I want to be in chorus. I want to be in Chorus Line. I want to be in Oklahoma. I do love Chorus Line too. My friend and I think we went and saw that movie about 10 times. I always wanted to be the girl with the hoop earrings and the big purse that comes on. You know, the one that just like, she used to date the guy and she just wants to be cast one more time in a Chorus Line. The roles I picked were always desperate. Do you know that I was really, truly like that serious of a child? I really was. Like, I would watch these movies and so identify with them. Like, I really would. Like, not just musicals, but like movies. Like, The Morning After with Jane Fonda. I think I saw that movie when I was like 13. It's still one of my favorite movies of life. Where she's an alcoholic that wakes up with a dead body next to her in bed. Or Night Mother with Sissy Spacek and Anne Bancroft, where Sissy Spacek's her daughter and she's going to kill herself, and it's the last night they've decided to spend together. Or, you know, some of these movies are still some of my favorite movies of life today. Or Crimes of the Heart with Diane Keaton and Sissy Spacek and Jessica Lange. It's fantastic. There's a whole generation of people that only know Jessica Lange from her work in American Horror Story, which is fantastic. She's great on that show, but I mean, she had a phenomenal career before that. I can remember the very first time I saw her was in King Kong, you know, and I was terrified of that. And that movie was so great. Do you guys remember that movie with her? And she was so young. And she and Sam Shepard lived on a farm or a ranch in Minnesota, I think, for a long time. And my friend Craig and I used to say, we're going to drive out there and find Jessica Lange and smoke a cigarette with her, like she did, like she smokes in Cape Fear. If you ever saw her in Cape Fear, she was fantastic with Nicolas Cage and Robert De Niro. And Blue Sky, I think she won an Oscar for. Gracious, gorgeous, classy, and gets it. You know, she gets it, I think. She's talked a lot about depleting roles because for women as they get older in Hollywood, you know? It's like the whole, there's that movie that was made, that documentary about like what happened to Deborah Winger or whatever. If you guys don't know who Deborah Winger is, she was in Terms of Endearment, one of my all-time favorite movies. And she just recently was in she was just recently on a show on Netflix. I can't remember what it's called. It's called like The Ranch or something. And, but anyway, it was a documentary. It was about women getting older in Hollywood. And like, you know, men can get older and they create roles for them. But as women get older, they don't necessarily have the same roles for them, you know, because there's so many women competing for the one role, you know, and there's Meryl Streep gets a lot of these roles, and then, you know, there's all these roles for younger girls, but there really aren't that many roles for women as they age. And if studios are willing to pay less to newer actresses that nobody knows, then, you know, actresses that have been around for a while can't demand that kind of money. And that was when things really started changing with some of that stuff, you know, that equal rights pay for women or like actresses to actors and things like that, which it should be. Absolutely, it should be. I mean, why is that even a question? I think, you know, it's weird to think that I lived in a time where, and I truly remember this, you know, where what time am I at? That I lived in a time where, I mean, and many of you did, I know, that at any place, at any restaurant, store, whatever, you know, let's just take a retail shop for a second, that like Walmart, that a woman might make $1 less than a man. For no good reason, except for that he was a man and she was a woman, or men had more to provide for, things like, they would say this shit, and you'd be like, I can remember friends of mine like fighting for pay raises, you know. It's just like, it's crazy to think we lived in that time, you know. My phone is blowing up. I can't even see from over there who it is. This person has a bumper sticker on the front of their car, or the back of their car. It says tolerance. Believe in it. I used to not care for the word tolerance because, you know, like people would say, well, I have tolerance for gay, like the LGBT community, or, you know, I'm like, so you tolerate us? I didn't necessarily like that word until I understood a little bit more about it, you know. It depends on how you understand that word. You know, it's like, for years in recovery, we talked about meditation, you know, prayers and meditation, and people automatically go to this idea of a meditative state of, you know, very Zen, Buddhist kind of thing. I mean, I've had people like, you know, literally, I've heard tons and tons of people in meetings say, well, I'm not any good at meditation, and I don't really understand it, and, you know, like all that kind of stuff. And like a year ago, I was in a meeting, and I was listening to somebody, and they said that when, you know, the basic text was written, that the word meditate, the connotation for that really was deep thought. That we didn't, like, the common using of that word wasn't some kind of like Zen cathartic process. It was deep thought. So it literally translates into prayer and deep thought, which makes a lot more sense to me, you know, looking back on all of this. I'm gonna turn around. And so yeah, I totally just lost my train of thought. I don't even know what I was trying to say there. But I gotta get this air conditioning fixed. It is hot potatoes in this car tonight. I mean, it is muggy. And it's like worse when the rain is like pouring down too, you know? I mean, it's not right now, but earlier today it was. Alright, you guys, well listen, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna upload the vlog, and then I am going to lay down for a little bit and then go visit my friend at the casino and see her. So I will be back tomorrow for PP and Peter's Bachelor Weekend, round 2. And I love you guys, and I will see you then. Bye.